From a hidden triple game mode to Roptop hacking in his own game, these are 185 Geometry Dash things you didn't know existed. There was a Geometry Dash level hiding in the game files that you didn't know about. You see, in Roptop's level files, we can see a weird beta version of Finger Dash named Rise for some reason. And there were actually several different versions of this level, some that looked good and some that looked like they were made by a 5-year-old toddler. Now, speaking of the custom levels page, it was originally on one massive page, so if you wanted to reach your first level, you would have to scroll all the way back and hope you didn't get carpal tunnel. I'm very glad this was removed, but weirdly enough, if you get the right circumstances, you can still find it. To find it, you need to play the game on 2.1, try and upload a level, and mash the life out of the back button. Once you've done that, it can work. I can't think of a single reason why you'd need or even want to do this though. The new way is just way more easy to use, unless you're a sociopath. Did you know you can instantly complete any level in Geometry Dash? This glitch isn't new. It actually dates back to version 1.9, but it's made a comeback with the 2.2 update. All you need to do is press and hold the play button, then hit delete. When it asks if you want to delete the level, press yes, and then let go of the play button, and boom, you are now in an empty level that counts as the one you selected before. When it comes to breaking Geometry Dash, you'll get a death stare from Roptop, but what if you made your own replica game and broke it as you wish? A player named Pixel actually did this by creating his Geometry Dash clone version, and since he had access to the game's code, he could change whatever he wanted. Just like how he added guns and swords so you can destroy objects, and he also made it so if you pull progress bars, you can actually turn back time. Phantom by the Real Salad is definitely one of the community's all-time favorite levels. It's set in a creepy ghost-like castle environment, and players love its layout and decoration. The way it syncs perfectly with the music and ambiance really makes it feel like a masterpiece after all. Also, there's even a little boss fight in the level. This has to be the level with the funniest intro sequence of all time. W Acropolis is an old level inspired by the Acropolis series and was known for being the easiest one of the series. But the real meme is its questionable intro.
Who's afraid of the big black?
After that, the music just turns into a full-on rave while you're basically doing almost nothing, making it totally out of sync. Maybe the intro was just a big black cube. Back in the day, Clutterfunk V2 by Neptune was almost lost forever after it got deleted. Players thought it was the hardest level ever. Clutterfunk was already tough, but Clutterfunk V2 cranked up the difficulty even more. There was even a meme going around that only Korean players could beat it, which includes me, since Neptune himself is from Korea. Luckily, the level was saved and restored, so we can still play it today in newer versions of Geometry Dash. This forgotten level was literally stolen. Death Corridor Z by Chaotic Jumper is basically a child of the impossible level Death Corridor. However, Death Corridor Z was made to be possible and it was supposed to be an extreme demon. But to this day, it's still unrated, so everybody just forgot about it. There was also some controversy about a player named Noctalium receiving a version of level for verification, but instead he just stole it. Seems Chaotic needed our help to say,
Swiper, no swiping!
If Spiro by GD Jose was in normal mode, it would have been an extreme demon. It's one of the most nostalgic auto levels in Geometry Dash, and back in the day, it was even considered the best auto level ever. And honestly, the visual effects prove it. However, at the end, it just shows a little emoji, and the music stops. To be honest, that jump scared me. Back in 2014, Geometry Dash players were hyped about one of the best levels ever created, the invention of collabs. The level Collaboration by Sari was the first level that was made with groups of people, including Dorobe, Sari, and Jack. This idea let top creators team up to build levels together, combining their unique styles into something truly amazing. Not only did it create some of the most memorable levels, but it also let the community's creativity shine through. This idea is still displayed in the game to this day, with levels like Limbo and the Yandere being some of the most impressive levels to this day. And let's be honest, even though 2.2 levels are cool, the innovations made in older updates are just so much more impressive. Remember Flappy Bird? Besides Geometry Dash players remembering it as a game, there was also a trend where players created Flappy Bird-like levels, and it was everywhere, especially in 1.8. Almost every level that was shown on the search was a Flappy Bird level. These levels were essentially played using a UFO and jumping through these pipe-like obstacles, just like the actual game Flappy Bird. This literally would have mixed rage from both games into one, essentially making players throw their phones into a lake. Did you know that before the 1.6 update, you didn't actually have to worry about coins? That's right, and OG players know that feeling. However, in January 2014, the update introduced 3 secret coins hidden in each level. Collecting them didn't just boost your stats, but also helped unlock new levels and icons. But still, they can make you rage too. Stupid coins! Old players know Roptop was almost terminated because of a bribe. Back in the day, Geometry Dash had an offer where players could get a free icon just for rating the game. Sounds like a cool deal, right? Well, Google didn't think so. They saw it as Roptop bribing players to boost the game's rating, and he was literally forced to remove the feature. No free icons, no sneaky ratings just a big nope from Google. People were traumatized because of this event. Back in the day, a popular Geometry Dash creator named Triaxis had the whole community talking. Like most GD creators, she uploaded videos of herself completing levels, earning tons of respect from fans. But then one day, she dropped a really unsettling video where she hinted at some dark plans to hurt herself. Fans in the entire GD community were absolutely terrified, flooding her with messages and begging her to not go through with it. Eventually, the situation got fully resolved, but for a while, it left everyone feeling really uncomfortable. One thing that annoys every Geometry Dash player isn't even the level creators. It's RobTop and his servers running on a literal thumb drive. Every time you see that the servers are down, it's a sign that RobTop probably needs to invest in better hardware, and that you should probably find something else to do for a while, like touching some damn grass. Speaking of RobTop's thumb drive servers, nothing makes you want to quit Geometry Dash more than data losses. Sure, some of these were caused by bugs in various versions of the game. It's probably because RobTop's hamster stopped powering his PC. So the next time someone asks where all your demons went, just blame it on RobTop. But they're not as suspicious as players who claim they completed the hardest extreme demon levels in Geometry Dash, only for them to say they didn't record it because they were doing it just for fun. But when you ask them to show proof, like an account with 100%, they'll say they did it on an account they logged out of. Long story short, they're lying, or they're just hacking. There's always that one challenge making YouTuber who gathers a huge crowd of players and makes those epic challenge videos where they try to complete levels together, usually in a group of 100. The worst part, these YouTubers just keep hopping from level to level, doing the same thing over and over with the Globe mod for Geometry Dash, which lets players play levels in multiplayer. But even though this mod is cool, it's honestly just so overused in these challenges. But if you do want to see some videos with it, let me know. GD players should just be banned from Twitter. Oh, sorry, X. I refuse to call it that. It'll always be Twitter for me. But of course, there's always that one guy who loves posting the most controversial opinions, and trust me, it can range from anything, literally anything. And don't get me started on the way these players act, dishing out disrespect and sparking endless threads of arguments. Seriously, these players can start a full-on geometry world war if you let them. Okay, this might sound obvious, but playing around with a level's code can demolish your game. If you place a move trigger, then head to code editing mode and set it to a random high number, the moment you touch that trigger in your level, the game will try to move you to a non-existing group, and as a result, it will go kaboom. However, the same effect can be accomplished by copying move triggers from a level called Diamond Blade, which were placed on certain locations to kick you in case you tried something suspicious. Honestly, if you aren't a professional coder, then I wouldn't recommend touching the code, otherwise RobTop might visit you in your sleep. Enabling this filter is going to filter you out of the game, literally. Go to the level's editor settings and enable the select filter, then delete the filter to any object and place a speed portal. And congrats, you broke the game once again. But there's a bonus fact that nobody can ever guess, because did you know that if you purchase 67 mangoes, then RobTop will personally hand deliver you a message saying he goons to you on Skibbity Tung 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 Sahur. You won't believe just how close players get to dying in Geometry Dash. From this player nearly glitching into the ground to another barely escaping a spike by 1 frame, these near misses happen almost daily and are downright nightmares for Geometry Dash players. There's even a dedicated Twitter page where players share their best close calls. From near misses with spikes to heart-stopping saves, this community celebrates the craziest, most impossible moments, keeping you at the edge of your seat. And honestly, at this rate, we should just start handing out bravery medals, because if these players keep pushing their luck, they'll need them for therapy sessions. On Geometry Dash's most popular mod, Mega Hack, there's a setting called Jump Scare, which when enabled gives you a jump scare upon death. Now, a player named Vegadol set this jump scare to a 1 in 2 million chance, and he actually got it. This guy should have bought lottery tickets on the same day, because that's pretty darn lucky. The chances of this happening are literally 0.000005%, which is rarer than the chances of me getting a girlfriend. Yeah. Speaking of mysteries, another strange one involves texture packs. A Discord user posted a screenshot showing the game's default font swapped out for something bizarre. The user, named Yilong Ma, had downloaded several texture packs, and some files accidentally mixed with the in-game font, leading to this bizarre glitch. It's technically not a bug, but it sure does look very strange. What would you have done in this situation? This YouTuber named Brayden Bull decided that Sunset Sandstorm, already an extremely hard demon in Geometry Dash, just wasn't hard enough. So what exactly did he do? He made it completely invisible. Yeah. Imagine tackling one of the hardest levels while every single obstacle is hidden. Players are forced to rely entirely on muscle memory and split-second timing to avoid disaster. It's like playing a game of Minesweeper, but with your eyes closed and a blindfold on. Did you know that some insane troll levels can actually be harder than top demons? One lucky guy managed to beat a really hard troll level named Lucky Draw with a 1 in 7.5 million chance per attempt. It's no wonder so few have done it. This user, however, managed to pull off this insane feat after just 9,931 tries. And the odds of that, a whopping 0.13%. Now, that's what I call an achievement that truly lives up to the name Lucky. Many players thought VSC was an impossible challenge to beat at first, until a player named Bo verified it. But soon after, he admitted to cheating, leaving the level open for a real verification. It stayed unbeaten for over a year and a half until Yosarian pulled off an insane fluke, completing it in just 49 attempts, cementing his place as a legend in Geometry Dash history. And finally, the greatest moment in Geometry Dash history has to be the release of Update 2.2, a moment that me and many players waited 6 years for. This update finally introduced platformer mode, bringing a whole new way to play along with sound effects like fire in the hole, which instantly became one of the biggest memes in the community. And after so many years of anticipation, 2.2 was absolutely worth the wait, despite what some people say. Here's a little known secret. There are some cursed versions of everyday things in Geometry Dash hiding in the teaser images. Just like the monster with a tongue, some icons and even portals were completely changed. First of all, the icons. It looks like it has a total of 5 brain cells. And if you use this cube, just admit that you're pretty dumb. Another cursed thing is the original teleport portals. They were so skinny. Speaking of cursed moments, we had one time when the Vault Keeper might have accidentally said a bad word. You see, after a ton of clicking in the vault, sometimes he just says, damn it. This was changed later to say, never mind, but isn't this crazy? The Vault Keeper said a bad word. We should lock him in the basement. We've talked about scrapped features, but what about scrapped code? The level Red World by Sarium Neptune is a very influential level, with one of the first recreations of the swing copter contained inside of it. But this ball part at the start turned impossible. That's right, at the start you have to use this specific block to flip gravity, but when Robtop turned off its collision, there was no way to flip, killing you instantly. Does Robtop have a death wish or something? I've saved the best for last. In the Geometry Dash Discord server, Robtop talked about a secret vault, but most people just shrugged it off like it was nothing, except for the YouTuber Colton, who actually searched for it and found a whole mini game. This game seems like a memory game, presumably used in the next update, but the weirdest part of this is that it looks almost identical to Robtop's game, Memory Mastermind. Tartarus was one of the levels that kicked off a whole new era of demonless levels. Back then, everyone thought Tartarus was just straight up unbeatable, and it really was. Riot, the creator, even hacked verified it just to get credit. But later on, a player named Dolphy managed to verify by tweaking it a bit and making his own version, which is locked out with a password. Since only a handful of players have beaten it, most players just check it out and move on. Demon List was originally made for levels, but now it feels like levels are being made for the Demon List. Many players have heard about Avernus. It's a level by Pocket Windfish that was hyped for a long time to be the next #1 spot on the Demon List. While it was being created, it switched hosts from Electro to Pocket Windfish and later got handed over to Zoink to buff and verify it. But after all of that work, Avernus only managed to reach #2, which made a lot of players laugh. On top of that, the level lost its identity, turning it to just another overly difficult level that no one could actually beat and players could only watch. Meanwhile, Tidal Wave was released, stealing all the attention and leaving Avernus forgotten. Back in the day, having a 144Hz monitor essentially made players think you're cheating. Sounds crazy, right? I mean, at the time, most screens were capped at 60Hz, meaning they could only refresh 60 times per second, basically limiting how much frames per second you could actually see. But if you had a 144Hz monitor, it let you see smoother motion and react way faster than other players. Some players even claimed to give you an unfair advantage, but in reality, those players had thicker wallets. The most annoying and desperate thing in Geometry Dash has to be hacking comments on levels. Some players will literally raid a level just to troll the creator by spamming comments that promote their YouTube channels or just straight up nonsense. Even worse, some level creators do it themselves to promote their own levels. Nobody wants to play your level Glicky Blob 1400. Even Robtop himself isn't safe from the infamous spelling mistakes. Some levels have such terrible spelling errors that you start wondering if Geometry Dash players ever even went to elementary school. But it gets even worse. Robtop made a spelling mistake on the very first level ever released. And of course, you have that one brain rot YouTuber who thinks he's funny when he actually isn't. He just keeps overusing the same jokes over and over, but the funniest thing about this YouTuber is his life. Wait, that seems oddly familiar. Everyone knows those players who claim their mouse never clicks when it should, right? They load into a game, make a play, die, and then say, oh, my mouse didn't click, bro. But somehow you never actually see them switch to the keyboard. Yeah, it's pretty suspicious if you ask me. If you got an iPhone or Mac, just know that RobTop kinda hates you. Why? Well, for a brief period, if you tried opening Geometry Dash on an iPhone running iOS 15 or 17, the game wouldn't even launch. And Mac users, they couldn't open the 2.2 update when it first dropped. Even those lucky enough to just open the game would crash instantly when they try to play any level. An apple a day really does keep RobTop away. But I bet you didn't know that you could literally break the game by just scrolling through the main level. In earlier versions of Geometry Dash, if you were to keep swiping left, there used to be a chance where every second level was just Stereo Madness. Everyone knows that catching a perfect fluke is rare, but did you know that the same goes for loading screen messages? With 61 different loading screen messages in Geometry Dash, the odds of getting the same one twice in a row are only 1.6%. That's right, catching this rare moment is almost as surprising as a perfect fluke in one of the hardest levels. So next time, maybe skip being distracted while your game loads, because you never know when you might witness that rare double loading screen moment. This Geometry Dash level operates on pure RNG, and each attempt is a high-stakes gamble. Players never know what to expect with every tap and jump. It's designed to test patience, endurance, and maybe a little bit of insanity. Some players will keep grinding just hoping that the stars align in their favor. And for everyone else, well, let's just say that rage quitting might be an understatement. Many players think they've played tough levels, but nothing compares to the final part of Maze of Justice. This is so hard that players tried using hacks to beat the level, and the rare thing is that even players using bots could not beat it. And in case you don't know what botting is, it's basically playing a level in practice mode very slow, and then it'll play for you in normal speed in normal mode. And if you thought you had it rough with other extreme demons, Maze of Justice will make you rethink your entire life. Imagine opening Geometry Dash and it just decides to delete itself, except for 2 levels. Someone posted a video on YouTube titled Weird Geometry Dash Bug, which revealed something really odd. After finishing a level and reopening the game, he found the home screen completely gone. All the textures were just completely disappeared. The only levels left were back on track and base after base. It's wild that this bizarre glitch has only happened to him. Seriously, how does that even work? If you play Geometry Dash every day, you've probably opened the daily and weekly chests. But did you know that there is an obscure bug which makes the daily chest literally say 11 days left until you can open it again? And the weekly chest would say 12 days, like how? I guess we will never know if this bug was patched in 2.2 since it's so rare. And RobTop really needs to go back to school. Some moments in Geometry Dash feel just as iconic as scenes from masterpiece movies. One perfect example is when a streamer finally beat an insanely difficult challenge, and his reaction was absolutely wild. But just as he was celebrating, his parents walked in to see why he was screaming, and instead of being mad, they hugged him and cheered him on for beating the level. It doesn't get more wholesome than that. Nepesta's reaction to beating Kinos isn't just iconic, it became a core part of internet meme culture. Players clipped his over-the-top celebration and spread it absolutely everywhere, turning it into a viral sensation that went outside of just Geometry Dash. However, this sudden fame had a dark side, as Nepesta faced massive bullying and ridicule across the internet. But in the end, this incident brought the Geometry Dash community together, uniting them against unnecessary shaming and toxicity within the player base. But what about the level that had so much controversy that RobTop made the name of the level completely unsearchable? Man by 2003 Devon was a horrible level. It had everything from body horror to gore to suggestive images. RobTop took action immediately and made the term man completely unsearchable. And the only way to find the level today is to find his profile, click on his levels, and find the level within his profile. I bet you forgot about the level Spike is Black by Fraud Player. It was one of those old Geometry Dash, there's no footage of the original level anymore, but some players managed to find a Demon Mix level that included Spike is Black in it, and a player named C14 Endurance created a restored version. Unfortunately, there's no official rating for that level, but by player assumptions, it's an easy demon. This classic level got remade a lot. Ice Hell Cave by Small had several versions, like Ice Hell Cave V2 through V4 and even more. But when Small decided to leave the Geometry Dash community, he wanted to delete all of his levels. However, Ice Hell Cave was way too popular to delete manually, so instead he edited it to make it a free demon. Because of this, RobTop eventually had to just delete it permanently himself, but this level was so influential that it inspired others like Ice Carbon's Dust, Ice Carbon's Diablo X, CC, and more in the series. Even Ice Carbon's Dust was was based on it. Luckily, the Restoration Union found old videos of this level and managed to restore it. Remember the days when every play was the go-to platform for sharing Geometry Dash progress videos? It was like a little hub for players to show off their skills and share their milestones. But then in 2018, it unfortunately got shut down, and with it, a ton of nostalgic memories disappeared forever. RIP every day, we will miss you. Back in the early days of Geometry Dash, old school players might remember the father of Geometry Dash hack, MGhostIH. I mean, he was the first to create hack tools for the game, sparking tons of drama within the community. Whether you love him or hate it, you can't deny that he was a controversial figure. But here's the twist. Some argue that he also contributed to the game's evolution. Not only did he influence mods and level creation, but he even helped develop Pointer Crate. In case you didn't know, Pointer Crate is a website that tracks player stats and levels, kind of like the Demon List. So while MGhostIH might have been a rule breaker to say the least, his impact on the game is still a hot topic among all fans. Speaking of hacks, OG Geometry Dash players might remember the infamous player Wargak. This guy made a name for himself by hacking some of the most famous levels at the time. He'd post videos of himself absolutely destroying demon levels, making it look ridiculously easy and leaving players totally confused. But of course, he couldn't keep the secret forever, and he eventually got exposed. Even so, Wargak's legacy lives on as one of the first big hackers in Geometry Dash history. Did you ever notice a change in Orb's animation? Well, over time, there have been many updates in Geometry Dash, and one of them was actually the change in animation of many orbs. Even the Jump Ringer orb, however you call it, it's been changed. And it looks cool, but I definitely miss the OG vibe. OG players will remember when color achievements were actually square. Completing a quest to unlock a new color for your icon gave you a square notification, and not the circles that we all know and love today. And honestly, it made sense, since the color section menu is literally made of squares too. I'm not too sure why RobTop decided to change it, but it's definitely something that only true OGs will remember. Did you know that the biggest enemy of a Geometry Dash player is actually blinking? We all had those moments when you suddenly remember you have to do your manual blink right in the middle of an extreme demon run. And of course, the second you blink, bam, you failed the level. Why do we even have to blink? Like, come on. Similar to blinking, this one happens when your low tier PC decides to blink too. I'm talking about random frame drops. And honestly, it's not always your PC's fault. Sometimes the level is just so poorly optimized that not even a beast of a rig with an NVIDIA RTX graphics card will experience frame drop. The joke over user is the type of player who can't resist spamming the same joke over and over again. Like under every comment section, they're posting, haha, 54 saws go over joke. So yeah, comedy isn't exactly the blessing of Geometry Dash players, especially for these guys. Reposters are those players you notice outside of Geometry Dash constantly posting memes and jokes that are usually months or even years old, and let's be real, they're rarely funny. Stuff like the why can't I open GD on iOS joke. Yeah, we've heard it way too many times. Most of the time, these reposts come from newer players just trying to fit in with the community, but it just feels like they're missing the point. But have you ever encountered that guy who wants you to send your icons so we can rate them? Yeah, those guys. The Geometry Dash community isn't proud that we have them, and most of the time they go around acting like they're the professional icon raters. In the end, they'll just say, looks nice, my rating is 2 out of 10. This symbol glitch can hack your stats without you even knowing it. If you press and hold the play button, you'll start the level as usual, but if you still keep holding, your icon will keep jumping. Then after you die, your jump count will skyrocket into the millions. I have no idea how RobTop managed to let this bug slip, but it could totally mess up the game's player stats. But that's not as crazy as adding an innocent color tag to make your level's description unreadable. Color tags are meant to style text and level descriptions, but here's the catch. If you forget to close the tag, save the description, and then open the comments menu, boom, your game just crashes instantly. Everybody knows that fluking a level from 0% is almost impossible. Well, Scaro, a 15-year-old controller player, did just that with Erebus by Platnu. And just to put that into perspective, the probability of this happening is about 0.0001%, which is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, if the haystack were on fire. Scaro didn't just complete the level, I mean, they completely obliterated it.
Hey, I don't think you can have an opinion on this after he beats the real Erebus. Okay.
What the fuck? Did you just fluke that from like before 30?
Can you imagine being that calm at 15? Because I was definitely not. If you're one of those people dreaming of getting RobTop to comment on your level, you might want to check your odds, because it's like winning the lottery. I mean, the guy has only dropped around 3,250 comments across tens of millions of levels, giving this a 0.003% chance of happening. I mean, players are out here pouring their heart into these creations, hoping for that rare stamp of approval. But hey, when you finally get it, you might as well frame that comment. It's basically the ultimate badge of honor. Did you know know that Sonic Wave Unlimited, one of the most iconic demons in the game, has many different Easter eggs? Each Easter egg only has a 1% chance of happening due to a random trigger, but this player actually managed to get one of them, and it's extremely funny.
Really?
Yes, this is real. Aeon Air is one of the most influential players in the entire Geometry Dash community, known for his insane demon grinding and reactions to top tier levels. He was even one of the first to participate in the first ever collaboration level in the game, but his most legendary achievement, beating Back on Track, the hardest level of all time. With the release of version 2.2, RobTop introduced a brand new rating mechanic that changed Geometry Dash forever, the Mythic rating. This rating was created to highlight levels with exceptional creativity and harmony, something that previously could only spread through word of mouth. And the first ever level to receive this honor was the Tower Verse by 16 Lord. While some players agree it deserves the title and others don't, one thing is certain: Mythic rated levels have the absolute best visuals in all of Geometry Dash. Back when the Geometry Dash community was at its most toxic, it actually forced a creator to delete an entire level. Crazy Man 50, or Kermal, a highly skilled creator, announced he was making Low Death, a buffed and much harder remake of the iconic level High Life. The level had the potential to rank high as an extreme demon, but instead of supporting it, players kept spamming Kermal to verify it and harshly criticizing every detail. Eventually, he got so frustrated that he just deleted the level entirely. This was a wake-up call for the community. Too much toxicity and the levels they want might just disappear forever. Most hackers get exposed, but Andromeda's confession was completely different. Almost no one even suspected he was cheating, and only a few players had their doubts, but instead of getting caught, Andromeda shocked the entire community by coming forward himself and just admitted to hacking. And to make things right, he went back and replayed all of his levels and beat them legitimately, proving he could actually play without hacks. In the end, he fully redeemed himself. Be like Andromeda. I love using the skull emoji, but did you know that at one point, a variation of the skull emoji was almost added to Geometry Dash? This beta image has a lot of skeletons with tons of variations. Everything from spiky skulls, glowing skulls, and bald skulls. Weirdly enough, no one knows how this would have worked. Would this have chomped and been animated like a monster? Or would it act like a saw? Please give us answers, Rob. In the level editor, there are thousands of songs you can use, from Newgrounds to NCS to main level songs. But the main level songs have a secret that is unused unless you have hacks. You see, you can actually scroll through this list of main levels from Stereo Madness to Dash, but if you somehow went past, you'd find something very weird. First, you'd see songs from the spin-off games like Sub-Zero and World, but after that, you'd find unused song IDs, and when you play them, weirdly enough, Back on Track plays. This proves that Geometry Dash has some spaghetti code. One of the most unique forgotten levels is the Split by Sir Punch, but any Molpen fan would recognize it instantly. It was back in the OG Molpen era when he played it, and the level stood out for its very cool visual effects and perfect sync with the music. It totally brings back those nostalgic vibes when I used to beat people. When I watched Molpen beating levels. If you're an OG Geometry Dash player, then you probably remember Moon Adventure 2 by Don Don. This level was originally rated as a demon, but then the creator decided to make the map easier so players could get those sweet stars. Surprisingly, this plan worked perfectly because after 7 years, RobTop finally noticed the change and unrated it. Honestly, creators like this deserve some kind of award for giving out free stars. Everyone knows the most useless feature in Geometry Dash, map packs. OG players especially know this because, well, even back in the early updates, they weren't doing any better. Seriously, having a few additional map packs to play didn't give much fun to players, and nobody really cared about them. The conclusion for map packs, well, they just suck. You obviously know what jump orbs are. Well, it turns out they're not actually called jump orbs. I mean, they're called jump ring. OG players probably already knew this, along with the fact that they didn't always have the cool glow effect that we now see today. Yeah, those rings definitely had a glow up. Did you know that there was a time where we didn't even have the wave game mode? Crazy, right? The wave was introduced in update 1.9, also known as the golden update, and it completely changed the game forever. Before the wave, we didn't have those insane tryhard levels that push your skills to the absolute max. But as soon as the wave dropped, we started seeing some of the hardest, most impossible levels ever made. This update basically kicked off the tryhard era of the game. Love it or hate it, the wave was a revolutionary addition from RobTop. Back in the OG days of Geometry Dash, trails were pretty simple. You only had two options, the stock trail or the legendary rainbow trail. But here's the catch, to unlock the rainbow trail, you had to collect 50 diamond points, which wasn't exactly easy back then as you had to complete many levels in order to get diamonds. However, if you managed to get it though, you were basically a certified pro. Showing off that rainbow trail was the ultimate flex at the time, and a great way to let your friends know that you were leagues ahead of everybody else. The worst levels have to be the ones where you have to play them a million times because they are super hard to sight read. These levels with unsight readable gameplay force you to replay them a million times before you finally make it through. It's the kind of grind that takes weeks to finish even if you're a pro, and when you're finally done, you're just standing there and thinking, wow, yeah, that was just a complete great waste of time. Okay, everyone knows stray flies are super annoying on any level, but on mobile, they become downright unbearable. These sections are already tough because you have to spam and time the jump button correctly, but on a phone, it's even worse. I mean, you'll probably dent your screen with the insane amount of tabs needed in just a few seconds. So yeah, not exactly practical. Original players are the ones who refuse to follow the meta, thinking they're way superior to everyone else. And instead of playing actual modern levels, they play these 1.0 style layout levels, which they claim is the real Geometry Dash experience. In their eyes, anyone who likes nice looking levels just doesn't get the game like they do. Like, we get it, boomer. Geometry Dash mobile players aren't just playing because they don't have a PC. I mean, they're doing it to flex. You can spot them easily because every time they upload a clip, they make sure to mention this was played on a phone. And when you talk to them, they won't just say they beat an easy demon. They'll add, but I did it on mobile, as if that somehow makes it harder than an extreme demon. Everyone hates that one annoying kid who does nothing but hate on everything and everyone. These players, usually around 13, 14 years old, roam around Geometry Dash and the internet, spreading negativity like it's their full-time job. From creators to players, no one is safe from their pointless criticism, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have a single friend. Okay, that was crazy, but what's even crazier is that you can break your game with a spawn and stop trigger. Here's how. In the editor, place a spawn trigger with a delay, then add a stop trigger to cancel the spawn trigger. When you activate it in the level, boom, it instantly crashes the game. Did you know it's actually possible to play two main levels at the exact same time? To pull this off, enter the main level screen, then slide until you can see two levels at once. Press and hold both levels, then release, and you'll enter one level, but the collisions from the other level will still apply. But what happens if you complete the level? Do you get credit for both? Someone try this out and let me know in the comments. Geometry Dash is already really tough, but imagine playing it blind. Deadlocked, the hardest main level, is hard enough with visibility. And now imagine taking away every visual cue. YouTuber Kermal did exactly that, verifying invisible Deadlocked in just 2,800 attempts. The odds, beating this literally requires you to memorize an entire level. Yeah, no thanks. Everyone has beaten a level in practice mode without dying at some point, but imagine doing this on one of the hardest levels ever. Well, a popular YouTuber managed to beat the infamous Yatagarasu level in practice mode without using any checkpoints. Completely by accident too. Practice mode is meant to help you conquer some of the toughest sections, and it's only meant for literally practice. But completing this nightmare level without any checkpoints, that is a 1 in a million moment in Geometry Dash history. Practice mode! Especially because it didn't count as an actual completion, making Dorami extremely mad. But hold on, we're not finished yet. At the top of this crazy list is a YouTuber named Aurelia whose mouse literally caught on fire while playing the level's Sonic Wave. No, I mean it actually caught fire. One day, they thought that it would be a genius move to set their mouse on fire while grinding through the level's Sonic Wave. Seriously, you can literally see the flames creeping up on his mouse, slowly getting bigger. If there had been anything flammable in that room, this could have turned into a real nightmare. I mean, why did they think it was a good idea to do this? When version 1.9 released, Geometry Dash had one of its most game-changing updates ever. This was the moment that introduced features we couldn't imagine the game without today. Some players think custom music was the biggest change, while others believe the Wave game mode completely transformed the game. But in my opinion, the real game changer was Geometry Dash finally being released on Steam, which is what truly shaped GD forever and pushed the skill gap. Do you know that someone actually created the whole auto level genre in Geometry Dash? Back in August 2013, the legendary Geometry Dash creator Darnock introduced us with the very first automatic level in Geometry Dash, changing the game forever. This one idea led to an entire category of levels where players could just sit back and watch insane sequences play out on their own. And from that moment on, the auto level trend was born. Now everyone knows that the mobile version of Geometry Dash has these little buttons on the bottom in platformer mode. When you click these, you go left, right, or jump. Shocking, I know. But these buttons actually have some obscure secrets. Little did everyone know that in early builds, these buttons were very detailed, because RobTop actually borrowed these textures from a game called Forlorn, which RobTop worked on way before Geometry Dash. This button has as much lore as Five Nights at Freddy's. Everyone knows that Geometry Dash's sound effects are very satisfying. From the level complete sound to the demon key noise, every sound just feels so iconic. Except one. In the files, you can find a noise called Counter 003 that sounds like this. Now, interestingly enough, this sound effect has no use in the game, meaning you can't use it without modifying the game. This noise comes from a game called Bloomlings, RobTop's old game before he made Geometry Dash. RobTop once again proving that none of his ideas were original. Element 111RG is probably the most controversial level in Geometry Dash history. Created by DarkX, this insanely difficult, often called just RG, was one of the hardest at the time to beat. It got a ton of negative feedback because you had to have 17 pixel perfect jumps at 60 FPS to beat it. However, DarkX eventually released a nerfed version with a secret way, but it ended up unrated. After that, he was essentially kicked out of the Element series level creators. The level was even purged by RobTop himself, who had hate towards it and erased it forever. Only parts of the level up to 15% and 100% are known, so nobody really knows what it looked like. The Restoration Union later created a restored version, but it's not an exact copy of the original. The level was also linked to the player, the real Mike, because of a drama involving verification of the nerfed Element 111RG. This controversy included allegations of racism and other related issues. In the end, the level became lost to time and pretty much forgotten. This has to be the hardest level to spell. Cosmok? Wait, Actually, it's in Russian letters, so when translated, it's spelled as Cosmos. And it was created by the Cherry team. But besides being very hard to spell, it's also an extreme demon. However, this level has been updated multiple times, and now there's even a new version called Cosmos Unleashed. Essentially, the old version got forgotten because the new one looks way better visually, and it's also heavily inspired by Slaughterhouse. Gamma is an extreme demon level created by Mindcap and a bunch of other talented creators. It used to be in the top 3 back in the day and held a spot in the top 10 for a very long time. After that, Mindcap released Sigma and Omega, completing the Greek alphabet trilogy. It's funny how these well-designed demonless levels became so forgotten that players meme Greek alphabet trilogy as being easiest to forget. Many players remember when Cobwebs was first showcased, and it actually got some pretty good feedback. However, let's be real. Most of us have probably forgotten that it even existed by now. The level was designed to be the hardest, shortest extreme demon, but it never got rated. Plus, since it's so short, people just forgot about it. But honestly, the level is so well made that it feels like it lasts over 30 seconds. RobTop should really rate it. Promises by a Dial always wakes up the nostalgia. I mean, it's a classic. This long forgotten level was a special one for players who tried Geometry Dash World, as it was one of the first featured online levels there. For those who didn't pay for the full Geometry Dash, it was a chance to experience the online levels through Geometry Dash World for free. Sure, I might be broke, but hey, at least I enjoyed it. I bet you didn't know that gravity orbs weren't always a thing in the game. Before the 2.0 update, there was no way to switch your gravity with orbs. But then in August 2015, everything changed with an update that introduced this amazing mechanic. And well, I'm certain that veterans remember it to this day. Zenthik is easily one of the most respected creators in all of Geometry Dash. If you've ever played levels like Blue Zenith or Zenith, you already know the insane creativity this creator has. His work didn't just blow minds, but also inspired countless other levels too. However, back in the day, true OG players will remember when he held the most creator point. And let's be real, it was well deserved. Zenthik would spend hours perfecting tiny details most of us wouldn't even notice, and that makes him a true Geometry Dash legend. Back before version 2.2, advanced animations weren't even a thing. There were no fancy keyframes or advanced tools to make your levels pop. But old school creators remember a genius discovery, the 4-frame animation technique. They figured out how to manipulate color channels and object properties to create smooth advanced effects that pushed the game's limitations. And honestly, these animations were super impressive, especially for how simple the tools were back then. Speaking of pushing Geometry Dash's engine to the limits, there was this genius trick where creators would use black color with blending enabled to make objects completely invisible. This was possible because black color in the RGB spectrum makes that color invisible with blending on. But if you were around back in the day, you'll remember how huge this was. It led to the creation of illusion levels, trolling maps, and even custom effects that seemed impossible to make at the time. Honestly, the creativity of Geometry Dash players made it feel like their average IQ was 200. Oh wait, never mind. Player-made death effects are the bane of any Geometry Dash player's existence. Some of these custom effects make it impossible to see where you actually failed, leaving you stuck wondering if you died at 10% or 99%. It's honestly the kind of chaos that makes you wish that level creators had just stuck to the basics. I bet you've encountered decorations that look exactly like spikes. I mean, these objects are basically jump scares, and when you realize it's just the creator trying to make the level look nicer, your first instinct is probably to report and block them immediately. If you're so obsessed with spike decorations, why not just put them in your own house at this point? But speaking of decorations, some levels are just way too over decorated. For these creators, the answer to everything is just more decorations, and the result is a level so chaotic it feels like your screen is about to explode inside of your hand. Practice runners are the type of players who only play in practice mode, and let's be honest, they always suck. They'll die 1,000 times, somehow scrape their way to the end, and then be like, that was a great practice run, can't wait to play for real, only to never actually do it and just start another practice run instead. Everyone knows that one player who just has to one-up you no matter what. Like, you beat the 10th hardest level in the world, and they go, oh, that's nice, but I know a guy who beat Tidal Wave. Basically telling you you're not that special and need to get better. But the worst part is if you check their account, they have 0 demons. Then there's always that one player who overestimates their skill. They beat an easy demon level and suddenly think they're ready for an extreme demon, but little do they know the jump in difficulty is massive, and before they even get past 2%, they realize they made a huge mistake and end up abandoning the level entirely and losing motivation to play the game. With this sneaky setting change, you can destroy another player's game and progress. All you have to do is open the color details in the level editor and change the value to anything over 999. Then when you try entering the level, bam, instant crash. And the scary part is that if someone else tries it, they could lose their save in Geometry Dash and cause total chaos. Let's hope nobody gets any bright ideas. This level slows down Geometry Dash. It's called time wrap smuggling, and it spawns you in a level where you just die instantly. But here's the catch, you're supposed to leave the level and try playing any other level instead. Once you do, everything is slowed down. Could this be the ultimate new meta for beating insanely hard demon levels? Did you know you can create black holes in Geometry Dash? Okay, well, not really, but you can essentially make a particle accelerator. Just head to the editor, build a corner, and place 4 teleport triggers that link directly to each other. When your icon enters, it'll go absolutely bonkers. And if you leave it long enough, you might create Everyone knows VSC is no joke, full of frame-perfect timings, dark vision, and super fast clicks that are physically impossible for many people. But a player named Yserian actually managed to fluke it from only 48%. And when I say fluke, I mean they completed it in one unexpected perfect attempt after failing over 154,000 times in a row. It's a miracle that they made it. Most players would be considering a new pair of glasses after that many attempts. Did you know that Geometry Dash has so many levels that level creators actually battle to get specific level IDs? The craziest fact about this is the race for the ID 80 million. One lucky player managed to snipe the exact 80 millionth level ID purely by chance, in just a 15-second window, with about 100 levels being uploaded all at the same time. They nailed it perfectly, and the odds of this are approximately 0.01%. Now, the level itself, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but hey, hitting that milestone is still a crazy achievement. But what's even more influential is the ID 100 million. Held by Shadow158, I bet you didn't know that it was originally a spam level that said, I'll update later. But then eventually, he collabed with some people to make it an actually rate-worthy level. Many players think high FPS is essential to beating really hard demon levels, but this player proved everyone wrong. This Spanish player managed to beat Zero Ikabi, an insanely difficult level, while playing at just 15 frames per second. That's right, 15. Now, as we all know, low FPS makes the game extremely choppy, which is a nightmare for a precision-based game like Geometry Dash. But somehow, WSCKR pulled it off, timing every jump with ridiculous accuracy despite the insane lag. Honestly, pulling this off without rage quitting, that's the real miracle here, even if they almost lost their eyes. Speaking of impossible flukes, did you know that a YouTuber named Swyborg beat the Golden in just one attempt? Yeah, that's right, Swyborg managed to clutch a level that was the top 1 extreme demon at the time in a single attempt. He straight up just went up for it. Now, the odds of actually pulling off something like this, less than 0.00001%. Seriously, you'd have better luck winning the lottery and getting struck by lightning at the same time twice. But somehow Swyborg made it happen, leaving the entire Geometry Dash community stunned. But did you know that after that, a player by the name of Sid125 managed to beat the Golden 3 times in a row? Yeah, I'm not even joking. I mean, these players seriously need to go touch some grass. They probably don't even know what the sun is. Have you ever heard of Trusta? He's not just a legendary Geometry Dash player, because his arrival on the GD scene changed many players. Coming from Sweden, he's verified insane levels like Yatagarasu, Sakupenhel, and was even the 9th player to beat Bloodbath. But what truly sets him apart isn't just his skill. It's the Geometry Dash Demon Progression Project, a structured list designed to help players gradually improve and reach pro-level gameplay. Thanks to Trusta, countless players have had a clear path to mastering demons and becoming just as skilled as him. Did you know that Funny Game Holiday was the first level to ever introduce effects into Geometry Dash? After update 1.7, Funny Game created a level that unknowingly became one of the most influential in the game's history. Many new players assume these kinds of effects only started in 1.9, but Funny Game was already pushing boundaries way back in version 1.7. Cyclic may have been exposed for hacking, but that's nothing compared to Mutual's legendary exposure of Nubas. Nubas was once a beloved YouTuber known for flawlessly completing insanely hard levels, until Mutual dropped a video exposing him for using speed hack to slow down his game to make levels extremely easy. Distorted sound effects, frame perfect perfect run comparisons and lost footage confirmed that Nubus was actually cheating the entire time, and this groundbreaking discovery shook the entire community, making players question every so-called pro YouTuber from that point on. Mifu's 98% fail on Sonic Wave might be the biggest example of the butterfly effect in Geometry Dash history. Before attempting it, his hardest completed level was Decode, so taking on Sonic Wave was definitely a huge leap. But as he played, he got closer and closer to beating it, and everyone was hyped until he died at 98%. After that, he completely disappeared, leaving behind a career that could have been as legendary as Riot's. And I'm definitely making that scream my notification sound. Did you know that there's one level that inspired Robtop to actually add the demon difficulty? Back in the day, the hardest difficulty was insane until Demon Park by M2 Call was released. This was the first ever demon level in Geometry Dash history. This single level led to the creation of demon lists, shaping the entire difficulty system we have today. And also a fun fact is most players think Bloodbath was inspired by Cataclysm, but it was actually Demon Park that inspired Riot, who even called it a prequel level. But speaking of Riot's rival Cyclic, he rose to fame in the Geometry Dash community by beating insanely difficult levels like Cataclysm and even verifying Sonic Wave, which was supposed to be a harder level than Bloodbath. This put him at the top, making him one of the best players in the game as well. However, in 2016, Cyclic shocked everyone by confessing that he had hacked every level he completed, including Sonic Wave. He posted a short video directing viewers to the description where he admitted everything, completely destroying his reputation. Meanwhile, Riot, who had been competing against him, only got status for being the best Geometry Dash player. Within the game files of Geometry Dash, you can see a couple of really interesting textures because they don't show up in gameplay, but on Robtop's YouTube channel. I'm of course talking about the dialogue between Scratch and Robtop that was used in the sneak peek of 2.2, where he showed Dash and the tower level, the sewers. Now, hacks are usually frowned upon in the community until one hacker found this secret feature. Mega Hack is a hack made by Absolute that lets you do everything from showing hitboxes to speeding your game up to 100 times to even adding text to the top of your screen. Now, one of these mods is called Forced Visibility, and when used, it forces everything on the screen to appear at once. Think of it as X-ray goggles that allow you to see everything hidden behind your sight. Anyways, if you go into the gauntlets and force on visibility, you'll see a secret button that refreshes the gauntlet. This feature was probably used when new gauntlets were rolling out, like the World Gauntlet and NCS Gauntlet. Rob, please bring this back. Now, when it comes to the most mad level in Geometry Dash, level 1 takes the crown. Created by Lucoraf, an OG creator, it had decent music and visuals, but the gameplay was super simple, just a basic double jump mechanic. It didn't really stand out, and for players, it's just become a forgotten relic only 3 years after its release. The challenge is one of the most secret levels in Geometry Dash. To play it, you had to unlock it through the Vault of Secrets by typing the challenge and paying 200 diamonds. But the problem is that it wasn't really all that interesting. And there was even a bug where typing the secret word wouldn't work, so most players just actually forgot about it. And when a Reddit user made a post asking about the most forgotten level, most players couldn't even remember that the challenge existed, ultimately proving that it is the most forgotten main level in the entire game. Back in the day, if you were scrolling through the comment section, you probably couldn't escape the weirdest trend ever. Tap my name. I mean, it was everywhere, and apparently it was some attempt for players to promote their levels or profile. But whatever the reason, it was so annoying. You couldn't even see a single normal comment without tripping over a dozen of these at least. Remember the days before the demon list? OG players know exactly what I'm talking about. No hate, no drama, just pure chill. Back then, finding the hardest levels wasn't centralized. There was Pointer Crate to show tough levels, or the true OG method, watching YouTubers to discover demons. However then, the demon list arrived, and suddenly, demons started emerging everywhere, literally. Honestly, I think it's time we get an angel list to balance things out. Every player remembers the nostalgia of those classic 1.0 levels. The simple designs, the hype when a new level would drop, and the amazement over how cool it looked back then. And some of these players are even coming back to recreate these iconic styles. While some players love the nostalgic feeling of playing it, well, new ones don't seem as impressed and literally dislike it. If I was an OG player,
I would probably find their IP address.
Many players' levels get deleted just because they have a low object count. Because Robtop made it a rule that your level must have at least 1,000 objects and be longer than 10 seconds, forcing creators to spam random objects that don't even fit their ideas. Got 999 objects? Well, deleted. Electrodynamics has probably annoyed players more than any other level. At first it seems fine, but then you hit the 3x speed section, and everything just falls apart. This part demands bullet eyesight and lightning fast reflexes to survive the insane speed and tricky timing. And levels like these are literal hell for brand new players. Like seriously, how is any human supposed to do this? There's nothing worse than when your friend accuses you of ignoring them in Geometry Dash, but they've actually turned off their messages in the settings. Like seriously, how am I supposed to reply if you've disabled them? I swear, people do this think they're a celebrity. Like bro, you're not all that. Some players have no reason to play Geometry Dash properly because all they do is spam through 0 effort levels just to farm coins. They refuse to put in any real effort and only care about collecting free rewards. But the funniest part, they'll brag about how many coins they have acting like they're pros until the entire group chat exposes them for cheesing their way through the game. Speaking of which, we all know that one player who just can't play without hacks. They love streaming their skill while casually pulling off impossible wave spam parts like it's nothing. And if you call them out for using no clip or speed hack, they'll just play dumb. No clip? You mean I forgot to clip the video? Like come on, these are the same players who probably cheat in every game they touch, and honestly maybe even in real life. Did you know you can get kicked out of Geometry Dash just for checking the comments? Well, that's only if you've entered parental settings and disabled them. If you try to view comments on any level after that, bam, your game crashes instantly. Looks like Geometry Dash takes parental control settings more seriously than any other game out there.
Also guys, real quick, I have a Discord server now where I'll be posting event announcements, live stream announcements, and opportunities where you can actually be inside of my videos. So go join now if you want to play some Geometry Dash with me. Trust me, it's gonna be lit. All right, back to the video.
Speaking of crashing your game, did you know you can do it just by trying to download the Theory of Everything 2 soundtrack? If you find it in the game's soundtrack list and hit download, your game will just crash instantly. Why? Because there's no actual link to the song in the settings. So yeah, it's basically a theory of nothing. Back in 2015, one comment managed to become the most influential in Geometry Dash history. A player named Hollow DMG posted, "You are map," and somehow it turned into a massive inside joke. At first it was just something funny between a few players, but over time it spread into levels, community memes, and even got acknowledged by RobTop himself. What started as a simple joke eventually became something recognized by millions of players. The 9 circles trend is easily the biggest level trend ever in Geometry Dash. The original 9 circles level starts with cube, ship, and then ball gameplay, but then switches to a wave section for 70% of the level, featuring a super cool wave effect. But this trend became so popular that tons of levels were inspired by it, and even the current top 1 tidal wave has taken some inspiration from this format. Speaking of tidal waves, Zoink's verification of this level has to be one of the greatest moments in Geometry Dash history. This level pushed human limits to the absolute extreme, and somehow Zoink became the first person ever to beat this near impossible challenge, or is he even human? After an intense grind and rising tensions, he finally conquered the level and had the ultimate reaction. And became the first player to verify 3 top 1s in the entire game's history. Another thing that got rejected was rating the level peaceful, even though it's a literal work of art. If you didn't know, Peaceful was a level made by Xylinox and Small that was only made just to mess with your expectations. And at the start, it looks all cutesy, but halfway through the level, it gets all corrupted, and at the very end of the level, all of the blocks and characters become really scary and gory looking. However, it turns out that RobTop is a little scaredy cat, and this level just scared him way too much, so he refused to let that level be rated. On the first update of Geometry Dash, there was a secret level just waiting to be found. Way back in 1.0, RobTop decided that he wanted to use the songs Time Machine, Cycles, and Steps for his new main levels. Not wanting to forget, he buried those levels in the game files, and if you opened them, you had this placeholder level. As you can see, this level is very bare bones, with unintended alternate paths in the ship, unplaced decoration, and gaps in the gameplay. I'll be honest, if a level this bad existed in the game, I would probably never play again. Now, one thing that nobody really knows about is that X-Step has some secret content inside of it. If you didn't know, when Geometry Dash was made, there wasn't any secret paths in the main levels that contain coins, which just feels wrong. But when the second coin was added right here in X-Step, he decided to put it inside of these blocks. But RobTop actually didn't remove the original part. In a couple of updates, it just sat on top of the level. Like, what? Old Slaughterhouse used to be one of the most famous levels, yet now it's almost never talked about. This level was set in a creepy red environment and was created by level designer Iced Cave. He actually took inspiration from Cyrillic's unfinished level called Death Angel River and even asked Cyrillic to complete it for him. But Cyrillic declined and allowed him to make something similar instead. And you might actually recognize it because it was super popular back in the day. However, Iced Cave's account got hacked and the level was forever lost. Now, some players managed to save it by copying it as an auto level, and once Iced Cave recovered his account under a different name, he republished it as a non-auto version. Once Iced Cave recovered his account, he made the Slaughterhouse that we all know and love today. And because Iced Cave stopped the potential the old Slaughterhouse had, he actually is on his way to publish the upcoming level called Grief, which is essentially an old Slaughterhouse remake and not a sequel to the new Slaughterhouse. One of the most tragic losses in Geometry Dash history was the Extreme Demon level called Ice Carven Titan X by Roadkiller. It was part of a trilogy, with earlier levels being Ice Carven Zust and Ice Carven Diablo X. At first, the community hated these levels because they seemed impossible and were verified using hacks. But when a player named Riot proved they were beatable, the level's popularity absolutely skyrocketed. Later on, Roadkiller released a new level called Ice Carven X, but he deleted it just 3 days later after receiving tons of hate. Some players had downloaded it back then, but by now it's practically lost. Also, only 5% of the level has only ever been shown in videos, meaning that's all that's been recreated today. Some players still hope to restore it, and even YouTuber Matt Mart has offered a $1,000 bounty for anyone who can find a way to bring it back. If you played Geometry Dash back in the day, you probably remember how some players would hate on levels just because they were too hard. I mean, seriously, creators trying to push the difficulty got so much backlash, especially when the impossible frame perfect level started popping up. But looking back now, those players had no idea what was coming next. Platformer mode was introduced in 2.2, and it's already boring for most players. Sure, it was super hyped at first since it was a brand new gameplay mechanic that GD had never seen before, but it didn't take long for players to realize how repetitive and dull it actually is. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if someone made Doodle Jump inside of Geometry Dash. Looks like they already have. Players who call you a noob are honestly a joke. I mean, you'll find them in comments or conversations claiming that if you haven't completed a certain number of demons, you're not a good player. Like, okay, maybe I don't have a ton of demons under my belt, but at least I've unlocked the rarest achievement of all, touching grass. Oh yeah, and I beat Bloodbath, so it's over. It's so over. The OG player is that one guy who played Geometry Dash like 10 years ago, disappeared, and then suddenly decided to check back in just to see what's new. Normally, they'd find the same game with the same mechanics, but lucky for them, update 2.2 just dropped, so at least they'll have some fresh features to enjoy. But let's be real, they'll probably vanish again. See you in another 5-10 years. Orb and diamond grinding players literally can't go a day without opening a chest. Every time it's like, hold on bro, I gotta open this chest real quick. But for real, these players love free stuff, collecting orbs just to spend them on icons. And let's be honest, most of these icons are either completely useless or just straight out ugly. And then there's diamonds, which don't even really do anything in the game, but they don't care. Funny enough, a lot of them probably came from Geometry Dash World, where the grind for free rewards started. Some players are so obsessed with platformer levels that is all they play. If they could, they'd probably give RobTop a Nobel Peace Prize for it. Finally, they can take a break from sweating through impossible levels and just enjoy the game. In fact, some of them are so obsessed with it that they probably wouldn't mind if the entire game was just platformer mode, and honestly, they might not be wrong. Did you know you could save grind time and Paths of Power by simply saving the game? In case you didn't know, Paths of Power is a system where you could collect moons and spend orbs to unlock paths that contain icons. It's essentially a battle pass that's also really time consuming. However, players found a crazy exploit. Saving the game on 2 devices at the same time would glitch the system, unlocking all the paths without spending a single orb. Of course, it didn't take long for RobTop to notice, and he patched it in the next update. But hey, at least he lowered the prices a bit. Back in 2015, one of the most legendary moments in Geometry Dash history happened. Bloodbath was verified and released by Riot. At the time, Riot had already beaten the insane level Carbon Diablo X, securing his spot among the top players. But he wasn't satisfied. He wanted to dethrone Cyclic, the top player at the time, so he set out to create the hardest level ever. Bloodbath was filled with insane ship sections, brutal wave parts, and almost zero room for error, but the real challenge was verifying it. After 25,000 attempts, Riot suffered a heartbreaking fail at 96%, but he refused to give up. With thousands of players cheering him on, he finally verified Bloodbath after a month and a half, forever changing the course of Geometry Dash. Now, many people might know about this already, but Space UK is basically the modern sequel to Geometry Dash hacking scandals. Space UK was one of the biggest cheating exposés in the game history. When he uploaded his gameplay, players noticed suspicious delays between his clicks and jumps, leading some YouTubers to investigate further. But the real hit came from a player named Zoe, who discovered a watermark from a cheat called Z-Bot in his footage. And after checking further, it turned out Space UK had faked almost every single level he played, making this one of the most shocking fake pro scandals in Geometry Dash history. Ever get that spark of inspiration to build a level with the perfect song, only to find out that it's not available on Newground? It's so annoying, and honestly, Geometry Dash might have missed out on a masterpiece. Maybe even something better than the Skibbity song. I hate objects that just move for no reason. Like you're playing a level and suddenly some background part starts moving towards you and you get an instant heart attack, but it doesn't stop there. Sometimes even spikes or orbs will just start moving and I'll literally just throw my phone into the wall. Who thought that this was ever a good idea? I bet you didn't know that there used to be a hidden message in the game that actually hinted at some major lore. You see, if you scroll to the end of the main levels, you'll see the coming soon page. But did you know that in an old update, there was a secret involving this button in the top right? When you clicked it, the ominous message appeared. The darkness lingers, be careful who you trust. This sounds very similar to the part in Geometry Dash where you let a dark figure out of a prison. Then he betrays you and says he's gonna destroy the world of Geometry Dash. This message might have been removed to remove any suspicion that that guy in the basement was evil. That traitor. That was cool, but did you know about this cursed menu from old Geometry Dash? So as it turns out, in the oldest version of Geometry Dash, the only buttons at the bottom were stats, settings, achievements, and this very weird looking one, which is the old Game Center icon from the iPhone. Now when you clicked on the Game Center one, a weird pop-up appeared with achievements, an option to rate the game, and an option to like it on Facebook. I knew Geometry Dash was different back then, but geez, this is like way too much. Have you ever played a level and your game mode just randomly changed out of thin air? Well, congratulations, you've been invisiportaled. These sneaky portals are placed by level creators to surprise you for no reason. And let's be honest, everybody hates them. Most of the time, they just make you die out of nowhere. Oh look, a portal. But wait, there's also a jump pad inside of it. Great, now you're probably about to be launched at light speed straight into an obstacle and fail miserably. Please stop putting jump pads inside portals, especially if they're invisible. With this feature, level creators can make you feel like a total noob. Of course, I'm talking about jump indicators. Seeing one of these in a level makes me want to leave instantly, making them a literal exit indicator. After all, sometimes they literally just look like custom spikes and just completely troll you. Easy demons that aren't actually hard might be the most annoying thing for players. You go in thinking it's a warm-up for tougher levels, but once you start playing it, it feels like the level accidentally got the demon tag when it should have been just labeled as easy. Not to mention, they allow for noobs to say they've beaten a demon. Yeah bro, you're literally just lying to yourself. Some players always find an excuse for their losses, and in rhythm games it's no different. They'll blame everything from bad music sync to the game being outdated, saying stuff like, bro, how is this even possible in 2025? When in reality, they just need a new pair of eyes. There's always that one player who acts like a motivational speaker, claiming that impossible extreme demons aren't actually hard. They're just a form of art meant to test human limits. They'll go on about how every level is made for a reason because it's technically possible, yet they don't even have a 1% completion on a single extreme demon. But bro, we should go beyond human limits. Yeah, how about you? Another trigger causing chaos in the 2.2 update is the arrow trigger. Yeah, you guessed it, because this trigger lets you change the direction of your icon, sending it in whichever way you set. But here's where the issue really starts. If you aim the arrow downward in classic levels, activating it makes you glitch right through the ground. And now you're essentially playing a platformer moving forwards and backwards in ways you weren't supposed to. What's even crazier is that the progress bar continues to go until 100% passed, and this glitch also works in all game modes. Sound effects used to have no object limit, and it was a disaster. However, before you'd go and spam a million fire in the whole sound effects to troll players, well, it would just crash your entire game. Honestly, even with limits being introduced, it's still pure chaos. This glitch literally made the game think you were cheating. When the 2.2 update dropped, we got middle grounds as a decoration to add some depth to levels, and it looked amazing. Everyone was hyped to make their levels look cooler, but the hype didn't last very long, because if you used this decoration and launched the level, it wouldn't even let you open your own level. Turns out the game's anti-cheat mistook it for a hack. Thankfully, it got patched later on, but could this mean RobTop used cheats in Geometry Dash? Did you know that there are some really weird blocks in the game's code that are completely inaccessible? Like the 3800th object, which has a weird glitchy texture that doesn't even look good. But what's even crazier is that there is an object that looks like the start position block, but you can see it in the game, and it can even kill you. I'm very happy these objects are gone, because imagine how disgusting levels would look if these existed. I bet you didn't know about the controversy that split the whole community and RobTop in half. CBF, or click between frames, is a mod that lets you click between frames, meaning that there can be no such thing as a frame perfect, because there are, well, infinite frames. Things like the demon list have accepted it with open arms, but RobTop is actively hating it by doing things like not rating levels that have used it. RobTop has talked about adding something similar in the next update, but it's unknown if he went through with it. Imagine being that stubborn. But there's a feature that was in the game that RobTop thought wasn't needed. The password required to copy a level was once a great idea. Maybe if you wanted to collaborate with your friends but no one else, you gave them the secret password to make the next part. Eventually though, RobTop and the whole community just saw this as a hassle. One of the biggest annoyances for me was trying to find a copyable version of a main level, finding it, and then seeing that the creator put a password on it, so I had to go into the comments to find it. Thank you, Rob, from the bottom of my heart for removing this feature. Especially because some level creators just put it in the description, which is a complete waste of time. Buggy asymmetric duels are the ultimate way to troll and annoy players. I mean, these are the parts where your ship moves forward while your icon has to go down, but you can't jump. And why? Because if you do, your ship will hit the spikes above, and you'll ultimately just die, just like your Geometry Dash career. RobTop literally broke players' muscle memory with the upside down ship physics change. Back in version 2.1 of Geometry Dash, the upside down ship fell faster and felt heavier, making it predictable. But in version 2.2, the mechanics were changed, and now the ship falls slower, throwing off players and causing them to lose on even the simplest parts. And let's just hope he doesn't mess with the jump function next. Okay, so gravity triggers might be a nice addition to Geometry Dash, but most players absolutely hate running into them. They may be annoying, but let's just hope RobTop doesn't add a black hole. Okay, the tryhards are the easiest to spot. If you're in Discord with them, they'll mash their keyboard like their life depends on it. They'll sweat through every level, stream their gameplay, and grind insane levels, beating the hardest demon like it's absolutely nothing. But whether they win or lose, you better prepare your ears, because the moment they react, it's gonna be the loudest noise in the universe. Okay, the perfect map for this type of player would be one with no obstacles at all, because every time they die, they blame it on something else. They'll say they heard a small noise, or the wind, or even blame random lag spikes for their mistakes. Like, come on, we all know you're just a noob. Star grinders are easily one of the most dedicated players in the game, playing levels just to rack up as many stars as possible. And with platformers introducing the same mechanic, they've taken this obsession even further, now chasing after every single moon they can find. Okay, players who only create levels are basically retired Geometry Dash players who claim the game is too stressful, so they take a more peaceful approach by making custom maps instead. But let's be real, most of these maps are terrible. Like, bro, you're not 70 years old, just play the game. Some players discovered a crazy bug that lets you pass through anything in Geometry Dash. If you use a dash orb and tweak it to have unlimited speed, your icon can zoom straight through whatever's in its way, whether it's deadly or not. This works because Geometry Dash runs 240 physics checks per second, but with infinite speed, it doesn't even get a chance to do a single one. So you're essentially bypassing all physics by doing this. Wait, does this mean I can fly? Speaking of going through objects, there's actually another way to achieve it, and it's done using RobTop's biggest enemy, the slope. However, this slope glitch also found its way into platformer levels too. When your icon collides into a slope, it gets teleported on top, and if you stretch the slope, you'll teleport even further through it. Some levels even use this as a creative way to make a secret path. At this point, RobTop should just give up and remove them from the game completely. Just kidding, don't do that. Rate standards in Geometry Dash are completely messed up. Simple, effortless levels always seem to get featured, while truly incredible creations go unrated for eternity. Many players argue that there's a clear bias toward levels made by popular creators, leaving real talent unnoticed. It's honestly kind of sad. RobTop, please give attention to smaller creators. Custom orbs and portals can be a nice touch to a level's aesthetics, but let's be real, they usually just look weird and completely out of place. Sometimes they even camouflage themselves, making it impossible to time your jumps right. I think creators should probably just stick to the basic one. They don't even look that bad. Many players find Future Funk as a literal troll level. I mean, it's a really well-designed level and a really fun one. With great level design and aesthetics, what really makes the player annoyed is when you've done all of the level's hard parts and you come to 99% just to be presented with 3 perfect jumps where you can easily mess up and fail. And yes, this exact thing happened to me. Everyone knows that one Geometry Dash player who takes analyzing to a whole new level. They're absolute nerds. I mean, they've got like 100 performance graphs open, FPS, heart rate, and even some weird stat that probably tracks how many times their mom kicked them out of the house. I mean, these people should just study Geometry Dash as a major. One of the most annoying GD stereotypes is players who never stop bragging about how good they are. They'll start a stream claiming they can beat an extreme demon in one try, only to fail instantly and say, okay, one more try. And then it's just one more try over and over for eternity. The previous world record for highest FPS in Geometry Dash was 9,999. But what would happen if you bypassed limits and made it 100,000 frames per second? Well, one player actually tried it and things got weird. The wave icon starts bouncing up and down, teleporting a little, but still moving in a straight line. Then it morphs into a wave ship, and it gets even crazier because the wave even starts teleporting. If I tried this, my PC would probably teleport out of existence. In the 2.2 update, the level editor got a bunch of new features, but addition of triggers made the game insanely breakable. For example, if you set a teleportation trigger with coordinates beyond the map's limits, your entire level will literally just disappear along with you. Now, if you throw in a zoom trigger to the same spot, you'll still see your icon, but it'll just be completely stuck. Add objects like monsters before teleporting and watch them glitch out like crazy. This probably had RobTop a little triggered too.